Привет из Дубая! С вами передача «Голубь мира», где разбираем крутые навыки. Спрашиваем на английском, отвечаем на русском. Подтягивайте язык или смотрите перевод в тайм-кодах. Let's talk about director and let's start with the definition.
Director, this is the person who is responsible for everything. For example, right now I'm director of company which hold with me and my wife. This is a dentistry salon in the center of the Moscow, and no one knows how much obligation do I have about documentation, about stamps, about signatures, about licensing, about certification, and so on. Several days ago, there were a client which came to us, and this is a very handsome man. He is I don't know how to say, bodybuilder maybe. He is sunshining smile. She has big muscles, and he always positive. And suddenly he was talking to me and saying, maybe I will quit the CEO. I asked him, why? You are so successful. This man was work for army forces. And he told, I don't want to be responsible for great amount of credits we were given by the state. And I was thinking, yes, maybe on this stage, I also will quit this position. But everyone thinks that director is the person which just put leg on the leg, sit on the table, drink tea, speak with some important clients by phone, and do nothing. But there were just one funny story. When I was given position of the director in Alpha Capital company, which was investment company in Ukraine, but was working for whole world, I was given the title with such a saying, now you have a title and also hemorrhoid in addition.
Well, this is funny segue to a new role. So what are the fundamentals of this role? Like what exactly is the area of the responsibility and what are the functions that the one could possess when they become a director of the company?
First, you should understand that your main asset is your people, so you should pay them in exact time. When they have salary in 9 o'clock of the day, which I usually you announced, they are quite happy. If they have, for example, delay for 1 hour, they will look at their gadgets to find is there any SMS or any message what is happening on. Second, you should keep your papers in complete order because your bookkeeper and tax office will often ask you something to send, to scan, to sign, to stamp, and so on. Third, you should find the business where you will be part of it. If there is a business without innovation and also your big impact in it, you will be like a fifth wheel in the wage.
And actually, the word director comes from the another word, which is the direction. So the one who actually could tell everyone else where to go. So just wanted to ask about the proactivity that they may want to have, because at certain point of time, the one could say, okay, maybe I just will talk to the board of the directors or the stakeholders to figure out what is going on and what I need to do. But on the contrary, the director might be the person who actually can figure out what exactly should be done in a way for the company or maybe to department to be successful. So how to balance with these two things, in which way is right?
There is a saying in Russian language, the worst thing in the world, there is just two. First, this is a programmer with a screwdriver, and second, director with an idea. When director work, he should has a strategy and work step by step. Yes, there is a vision, there is an azimuth, there is a lighthouse on the horizon, and this is quite good. But if director will come every day and find some other stuff to do, and they will give indirect orders in different directions, people will starve because they do not want to be disturbed so many times. And the director should understand that he own like a big cruise ship. And if you will put steering wheel like 5 degrees left or right, everything will fall on all the tables on the ship. So usually cruise ship, when it is turning around, it's take like 6 hours and no one will notice that it goes on. The same with the director.
Obviously, there might be different levels of the directors who actually, like execute on a different level with a different set of the competences and a different expertise and a different impact they make to the company. So what are those levels and how to actually become at least the level one for the specific organization or a specific department?
First, when you get your directorship, you will find that everyone is laughing at you and will say just nice things, and you should be aware about this. When everyone agree, this means that you make a mistake. You should put in the room a lot of people to ensure diversity. There should be men and women, Pakistan people and I don't know, Englishmen, and so on. And you should write everything right, correct, by the paper, by minutes, by schedule. You like shadow for your company. If the shadow is wrong, everyone will misunderstood what is difference between you and your orders, between results and expectation. And maybe the third thing, when you are a director, you have a great power. You have a lot of things to do, but you also should focus on several impacts. When I was working as a director of Alpha Bank, there was a steering committee, and there was a guy from Czech Republic. And suddenly, when I was trying to have for next year too many plans, he told to me, "You have just two hands. Let's think that you have just two leverages. Use just them and forget about others. No buttons, no other windows, no other possibilities. Just two leverages, no more."
And since you mentioned that there might be people from a different countries and the cultures, so something that I kind of observed in my little experience, that when it comes to, let's say, people from the Western countries, actually maybe the level of the competences or the level of how they present or position themselves or their ideas is like a couple of levels above. But like when it comes to work with them, you actually can figure out that there is something might be potentially missing. So, but again, like they also have a saying, like they still will look at you like the way you give the first impression. So how to actually compete, or maybe not even the compete in this area, but like how to be slightly different so that you still can jump on this boat and, like make your path like in a constructive way to become a director.
Maxim, it is easy to say, for example, for Russian people or for Ukrainian people, but you was working in Singapore and now you're working in Dubai, and this is very high peaks, very high summits, and people around you are high skilled, and everyone wants to be the boss of you, boss of themselves, and there is a highest and hottest spot for the competition, and you have no other choices but to learn all the time, to write articles, to go to exhibition, to make speeches on several languages, to write the books. When I was working in Kyiv Polytechnical Institute, I was pressed by my scientific leader to write an article, and I was writing one article per week. And after, when I was going to some companies, to some clients, and they were smiling, "You are too young, you know nothing, let's wait until you will make material," I was saying to them, "Come on, guys, I have 310 articles on 16 languages. Let's start from the scratch."
So there is a one part that you mentioned, like working with your hands. There might be like a different opinions. Let's say like the higher you go, the less you have to work. But maybe at certain point of time, you actually will need to, like to show how the things should be really done. And this is something that actually goes like a red line across all of the lectures that we are attending. Is that even if you're director, you might be showing the direction, but at certain point of time, you roll up your sleeves and can get the stuff done, like so basically you had the last line of the defense. So what is the approach here, like how you need to be like on the speed up with the technologies, with the skills in order to be doing this, like whether it's really must or there might be like a different ways of doing things?
There is a wind right now in our part of the earth. Everyone wants to be quit of the operational routines, but I am always saying, let's imagine that your goes to Everest. This too high, 8,848 meters above the land. there is not too much air. And when you deal on the bottom of the mountain, you deal with suns, very small pieces which could be managed by yourself or with helpers. When you go into the base camp, which lowest I think is 5,300 meters, you have lack of air. You couldn't sleep, you couldn't stay, you couldn't breathe. Everything is pressing you, and it is the same like you are director of the department of independent part of your company. You deal with great amount of ice, and there are no wood, no fire, no retreat. When you're going higher to the sea level, you stand like close to the heaven, but also wind very strong and temperature is very cold. And you suddenly understand that now you deal with mountains, not with the suns.
It sounds that actually building the muscles in whatever ways, like whether it's like getting an education or like additional courses or additional skills, might be inevitable. So what should be the approach for the director in order to actually still stay in a good shape? So whether they say like they need to possess like an MBA or graduate from a different institutes, or maybe get like some sort of courses or skills. So how they should craft their own educational program in order to still be in the good position to execute.
When I became owner of some companies, IT company, software company, internet shop company, and so on, I was thinking maybe I have lack of knowledge and I will go to Harvard, to Oxford, to Cambridge, West Point, Yale, and I will learn something. I was on MBA courses, MBA booster, MBA executive, and so on. I have a lot of so-called, I don't know how this small pieces of paper which are signed with stamps put on the wall. How this called, like certificates, yes?
Probably certificates, yeah.
Yes, I have a lot of certificates on the last part of my shell, but I never show them up because it doesn't help. When you're going to see an MBA, you will be in a group of 25, 30 people, and you will look at the same cases which are already used by Harvard, for example, for last 20 years. You would become the same, not the ultimate director. So you should live 3 lives. First, you should spend too many time as you could with your employees to understand what exactly they do and how they think. Second, you should live with your customers to know their voices. And third, you should live with your competitors. You should establish passes to look at their boxes, at their processes, at their projects, to know which air they breathe.
It is funny enough because like this morning I got a message from LinkedIn. It's like the marketing email. So basically they were saying, okay, let's have a look at all of the courses that your network is learning. And I was thinking for myself, okay, like basically you're trying to me like, okay, let's blend even more with your network so that you actually not really have any difference. So basically it will be better to go into probably the opposite direction, or maybe into go into certain depths, which is not discovered by anyone else. My last question will be how knowing about the skill of the director could help to make this world a better place.
You know, it's very funny. I was expecting this question. This is quite traditional in our podcasts. It was 1983. I was in first grade of mid school, and I was reading one of the books. And suddenly I find that director was the highest person and was given orders to everyone. And in this book was written that after giving all the orders, the director closed his cabinet, took a bottle with some drink, took in a cigar, and was saying, now everyone is working and I could rest. And when I imagine this picture, I was thinking, if I am working by myself, I have just 2 hands, I have just 1 brain. But if I would be a director, I would be, I don't know, I would be having like 1,000 hands and 1,000 brains. And I suddenly realized I wanted to be just a director. And whole my life, I never was doing resume, and I was never was working not as a director. But this was very tough. I was preparing for this for a long 8 years. And when I became a director, I just immediately understood that I know nothing and I would learn on the road.
А мы рассмотрели навык руководитель и чем он полезен именно вам. Всем мира!